Barry Manilow, the showman of our generation.
Looks like we made it.
New shows just announced. Manilow Las Vegas, the hits come home.
There aren't many legends left, let alone icons and stars, but there's one here at the Westgate. Barry Manilow's coming to the UK next month and you can see him live. He's been here for a few years and he's still packing them out at the wonderful Westgate. That was the home to Elvis Presley. He did more shows here, over 800 shows, and now, well, that showroom is home to Barry Manilow. There are so few icons and legends left, and this is one of them. Barry Manilow is here at the Westgate, and you can see him several times a month doing his show with his incredible band, a live show, and more energy for a man who's been around, well, his hits over 50 years. I think it's fair to say he must be in his late 40s by now.
Could I ever let you
Barry Manilow's on his way to the UK to do a tour, and I was lucky enough to meet him recently, and you can hear that interview, that radio interview, at the end of this review. As far as legends and stars go, this man gives it his all. He was on fire tonight with lots of new bits in the show. At this show you get all the hits. This is all killer, no filler. From Copacabana to all his greatest hits, you get them one by one. The story of his life, you find out how he began and how his granddad inspired him to become one of the world's biggest stars, a global sensation who continues to get airplay, even though, well, let's face it, in 2022 we like to delete the past. Well, you're not deleting it here at Westgate. This is a symbol of the past. This casino has had all the stars, and for Manilow to be back here with his residency every single month just gives me faith and hope that the greats will survive. This man gives 100%. He loves his audience and thanks them for coming. There's no phoning it in here, which is one of the biggest problems of Las Vegas. Barry Manilow is a star and a legend and an icon, and I just love to see him live. It takes us back to a better time of music, a better time of songwriting, and that's what he is, a songwriter. Although he didn't write all the songs, he wrote most of the hits. As he says, this is his greatest passion, and when you've got a great lyric and a great song, that's all you need to pack out a show some 50 years almost after the first hits were topping the charts. Star quality is hard to find, and Barry Manilow's got it. This isn't Barry, this is a picture of Barry that ladies try to grope and touch. He says and jokes in the show that he's a sex symbol, and he is. They love him, and there's nothing he can do about it. Seeing the love and warmth from the crowd tonight, who are literally as on fire as he was, just remarkable energy from Barry. You get to hear the hits, you get to have a great dance show. His backing singers, including Matinée, is just incredible. Such talented musicians. This is the full package, and this is the epitome of a legend, icon and star. And what is absolutely most impressive about Manilow live is that he sings live. That might seem a ridiculous thing to say, but in 2022 in Las Vegas, trust me, finding artists that actually sing live and aren't on track is rare. He sings every note. And although at times these songs are big and powerful and more mightier than the man himself at 79 years old, remember, this is a remarkable feat. He never stops moving on the stage, but he sings every note live. You have to give him kudos for that. Don't miss Barry Manilow here at the Westgate in Las Vegas, and enjoy my exclusive 30-minute live story radio interview with the Manilow next.
This is Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. 25 years this year I've been talking to stars, and I have to say this one is probably going to be my favourite. Barry Manilow, what an honour. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Alex. Thank you.
I've got to tell you, all the years I've been interviewing stars, so few can fill a room here in Las Vegas,
Really?
in London, in Hong Kong, Singapore, wherever you turn up. I mean, what an incredible thrill that wherever you go, people want to see you. That's not guaranteed, is it?
It is, and I keep remembering the days when they didn't want to see me. Yeah, because they were. You're too young to remember. See, I'm beloved, but I was behated for many years. So, and suddenly it flipped over. I don't know how. Maybe, after a while, they just give in, and I'm right already, because I wouldn't go away. So, and things just flipped over, and everybody always had a good time with what I did, but they just didn't want to admit it. Now, everybody's okay with it. At
this point in your career, when you stand in the wings here at the Westgate in Las Vegas and you know you've got several thousand people waiting for you, is there more pressure to sound like Barry Manilow? We all know your hits, we know what you sound like, and we know how they need to be sung.
Oh, no, I never think about that. Honestly, I never think about sounding like, no, I hope that my voice is in shape. Yeah. I hope that my body's in shape. And I hope the sound system is good, and I hope the lights are good, and but most of all, I hope the audience is good. And 99% of the time, because I come from Brooklyn, and in Brooklyn, you're raised to, it's never going to work out. It's going to be the worst evening of your whole life. So before I go out, I have to get rid of that voice, and. Most of the time, just about all the time, they're very friendly. These audiences are very friendly, and I have a great time with them. Really, I have a great time with these people.
There are a few people in the world who have the type of fan you have. I've interviewed a few of them. There's Cliff Richard in England, he has it. There's Elton John. There are a few people where we just love you, and your fans will come this week to all three shows. They will fly in and stay and see everything. How do you manufacture that? Because I think in this PR-savvy world, nobody's quite worked it out. Is it of its time, or is it just doing it for as long as you have?
I don't know. I meet them backstage, before these shows, because I have this organization called the Manilow Music Project, and we raise money to get instruments into schools that are running out of them, because all the schools in the country are running out of instruments. Terrible, really terrible. The first thing that gets cut is music and arts in all the high schools. And when I found that out about 15 years ago, I had to do something. So I formed the Manilow Music Project. So. The way we get money for the Manilow Music Project is I do what a lot of artists do. I do a meet and greet with the fans. And we charge some money for it, and it goes right into the Manilow Music Project. Everybody knows that. And they come and visit with me before the shows. So this is a long answer. So I get to meet them. I know who these people are. I've known who they were from the very beginning. They're great people. I mean it. I take them so seriously. I would not have the life I have without these strangers. These are strangers who gave me this incredible career and an incredible life. So I love meeting them. I wish I could spend more time with them. They're great, and they've always been like that from the very beginning. These people that I met after the shows, they're just great people. They're nice. They're good-hearted. They're intelligent. I love having conversations with them. I never take them for granted. I'm serious. I never take them for granted. They're just great people. That's so I meet them.
I've probably seen your show 30 times over the years in big arenas and here in Las Vegas. Yeah. And the one thing about your show is without you in it, it's already a good show. Add in the jackets and then add in you, and now we've got a spectacular. And that's what's glorious, isn't it? I mean, the hits stand up for themselves, the show stands up for himself, and then we add in a megastar sex symbol like yourself, and we've got a party.
Yeah, I work very hard on that.
Is it still an obsession? I mean, do you stay awake at night worrying about the show?
I do. I give everybody notes every morning. I look at the show every night. I'm crazy. I admit it. They all know I'm crazy. And it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I get up and I look at the show the night before, and I make notes, and I give it to all the people that work there, and I make the show better, or change things around, or come up with ideas. And I've always been like this. I just wanted to be as great as I can for these people.
You can't be good at everything. Are you the best pianist? Are you the best singer? Are you the best performer, the best writer? Because really, you're not just the triple threat, you're the quadruple threat.
Oh, you're very sweet to say that, but I don't think I'm the best any of those things that you just said. I'm pretty good at putting it together. I like putting it together. I like putting the show together. I like putting albums together. I like writing music. No, I would never consider myself a good singer or a great pianist. I'm not. My musicians I used to be pretty good, but I'm not as good as I used to be. And as far as singing goes, the thing I do really good is I interpret a lyric really good. I know that I do that because you can't do Even Now for 40 years and make it sound like I've never done it before. And I think that's what they're feeling, because I feel that way. When I do Even Now, I surprise myself about this song. It's as if I've never done it before. That's what goes. It goes for everything I do on a stage. It's as if it's the first time. That I'm very proud of. I mean it. And the band and the singers are always amazed that I can still keep it fresh the way I do. And so am I. But I'm very proud that I'm able to do that. And I'm really able to interpret a lyric because I really believe it. I believe what I'm singing.
And then, of course, we look at these songs. I tried singing one once at karaoke. That was my first mistake. These aren't easy. Even Now starts right down here and it ends up in the rafters. You don't make life easy for yourself, do you?
No, listen, I never started off wanting to be a singer. So I'm more surprised than anybody that I can start down there and end up there. Every night I am. So, I don't take the singing thing seriously. I try my best. But I've always known that I'm not a great singer. Luther Vandross is a great singer. George Michael was a great singer. Those are the people that are great singers. Me, I'm a pretty good interpreter of a lyric. That's what I think I do best.
This show is not only a love letter to your music, but also your life, and we get to find out all about it. And from the beginnings of the Happy Birthday to the megastar here in Las Vegas, we get to hear your story. And it is remarkable. Was there a point in your career when you thought you'd made it?
You ask that question to anybody, everybody's going to be stumped, because you never really think you did. You never really think you've hit it.
What I find fascinating when I talk to someone like you is your perception of yourself. Because I'm in the presence of a megastar. Of all the people I've ever met, you're as big as it gets. I mean that sincerely, and I mean it honestly. Do you just see yourself as Barry who gets up in the morning and has to do a job?
I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, ask anybody. I do. I'm always surprised when people are, kind of scared when I say hello to them or something. I'm just a musician. I'm just a working musician. That's what I see myself as.
You come into the UK on September 14th to do Proms in the Park.
They said there were 65,000 people. Wow, that's a lot of people.
Does it change your performance? Does it change you? Or I wonder how you perceive this, because you've done some amazing venues, the best venues in the world, and you've played collectively to millions of people, never mind 60,000.
I sing to one person every night. So if there are 2,000 or 5,000 or 65,000, I'm still singing to that one person. It's not going to change for me. I mean, how exciting can it ever be, the 65,000 people, but it won't change my performance. I'm still singing to one person, as far as that goes, maybe I'll have a little nerves or excitement, but once I start, it's pretty much the same as it always is. I try to crawl into the story of the song and sing it to one person. And that's my job. But, it's always exciting to hear the roar of the crowd,
And what's magnificent about your back catalogue is we all know virtually every word and we will sing them back at you. That volume is probably going to be as loud as it gets and thrilling. Is that still surprising even tonight when you start the first word of the first song and the first note and we're already on the same page?
Well, as long as it makes them happy, it makes me happy. In the beginning, I thought, don't sing Even Now with me. I'm performing. How dare you? But I don't mind anymore because I see what's going on out there. They love to do it. Well, that's great. That's what I'm there for. I'm there to make them. It's all about them. It's not about me. You know, you ask, your question before, is it about, am I a superstar? Really, no. I am there for those people. That's all I think about. I'm there for them. And if that makes them happy, sing along with me, folks.
You do remind us you're a sex symbol several times in the show.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding around. Please.
Having said that, I mean, we see that picture of you, and the way the women swoon in the audience is quite remarkable. When you look at those pictures, and just yesterday I was interviewing Wayne Newton, who was telling me stories about Elvis, and when you think he did 800 shows on this site and probably used this dressing room, and I think even that bar was where he used to warm up.
Maybe.
What a wonderful career and life you've had to be around these people. Would you indulge me with some Vegas stories to begin, and the people you met and worked with, because there really isn't anybody you haven't worked with?
Well, I get out much. I really don't, Alex. I don't get out much. I've never been a part of that world. I hang with my band and my singers, and those are my friends. And then I've got a whole batch of friends when I'm home, just regular people. Honestly, from the very beginning, I stayed away from it. I did. I have a couple of people who are, I guess you would call them, they got names, they make albums and all, but really, I've never really been into that part of it, honestly. My stories, Vegas, I am staying in the same suite I've stayed in ever. It is the craziest Las Vegas suite you've ever seen. It is so Las Vegas. It is so awful and wonderful at the same time. It's really, they must have spent a fortune about, 15, 20 years ago. And I hope they never change this thing. It is one of the great tributes to Las Vegas. I hope they never change it. When I walk into that suite, I am in Las Vegas. Yeah, it's way on the millionth floor, and all windows. You can see the entire strip. I am so in Las Vegas. I may as well be, I don't know, Shecky Green or something.
And it is amazing. I can't remember who said it, but it costs millions to look this trashy, and that really is Vegas. Yeah, you've got to keep that to keep it Vegas.
It's just so great. It's so great. Now that's my thing of Vegas. That's when I think of Vegas, I think of that crazy suite. I hope they never change it.
You've done so many gigs in the UK, and the Palladium is such a part of everybody's career. I know a dear friend of yours, Lorna Loft, her mum and the Judy Garland stories go together hand in hand, and of course you've played that venue so many times, and we want to see you there again. I saw you last year in an arena, and again, it's unfortunate you're so popular, because if you were less popular, do smaller venues. There's something about your show, though, that is really one man and a piano, and that's what we get here in Vegas, which is so touching. And it never gets old, does it? I look around at the great piano man, there aren't as many around, but it's still so moving, just the fingers, the piano, and the man. It's gorgeous.
Well, they're not writing 32-bar songs anymore, and they're not writing lyrics that people can, do what I can do with my catalog, and that really, that's really too bad. I mean, like I say in the show, they're still making great sounding records, but the art of writing a great pop song is dying. It really is. And it's all about the machinery, and there's great sounding records, but the art of doing a wonderful 32-bar song is dying. And so I love doing what I'm doing. I'm one of the few people that are still doing. Me, Elton, Billy Joel, and maybe a handful more sit at the piano and sing Weekend in New England or Even Now and their catalog. And I can't think of too many more out there, but there may be. There may be out there. I can't think of any right now, but I know that when I try to listen to the pop radio, there's no melodies. The melodies have hit the skids. It's all about rhythm, and it's great. It's all about rhythm, but where the melodies go.
Yeah. You mentioned Elton there. I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, we look at what he did, so flamboyant and outrageous. And you mentioned also the fact that you just stayed out of it and did your music. I mean, do you have great admiration for him for what he did? Because he was a pioneer, right? I mean, and to think that some little island England has created two of the biggest headliners at Caesar's Palace, Colosseum, Rod and Elton, is extraordinary. We're so tiny, yet the impact these guys have had.
He's amazing. Yeah, he started like 5-6 years before I did, so I was a fan. I had those albums, starting with Your Song. And, you know, and not never even dreaming that I would even make an album to forget about, you know, having this career. I was just his fan, and I still am. He's still one of the great songwriters that we have. And he's still doing it. He's still making records that are filled with wonderful melodies, lyrics, chord changes, and he still sounds great. There's not many of us doing this. You know, it's a whole different style of music, of making a record. You know, it's fine. You know, let them do it. I just wish they would go back to some melodies. That's all. That's it. Just where the melodies go.
Last year you were in England. You'd just been ill before you came. Let me ask you the question, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know, I'm very old. I should not be able to do this. You saw me go up that stairs. That's 14 steps up there every night and 14 steps down. You would think I'd be in a wheelchair or something. But I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, but I feel the same as I've always felt. And, you know, I still have my hair. You know, I look pretty much the same as I always look. I don't, you know, I'm waiting for it to get old, but so far, so good.
And then we look at the voice itself. What care do you have to give to that to make sure it sounds as good as it does? Because these records are going to be played forever. Yeah. You're going to stand in front of 60,000 at Hyde Park. Is it a lot of work? You're
going to hate me. I still sing in the same key that the records are in. You know that. Yeah, and I'm waiting to tell the band to lower the key, but I don't. So far, I don't have to. You know, I'm sure one of these days something horrible is going to happen, but so far I'm lucky.
What about the neuroses of getting on a plane or sitting in an airport or sitting next to me coughing or something like that? Do you get into all that? Because this can be really destructive. You have so many performers who can't do what they do, just worrying about losing their voice.
Well, I don't tour the way I used to. I stopped doing that 2 years ago, and this was a godsend, this offer to come back to the old Hilton, to the Westgate now, because that keeps the band working, because I didn't want to lose the band, but I didn't want to stay on the road, and this was the perfect compromise, so I keep everybody working, and I don't have to take those planes that you're talking about. Because it was, that finally got me. I take my own plane. I don't have one, but we rent our own. So at least I stopped going into the airports the way I used to. It was 40 years of airports, 40 years of hotels. It finally got to me. And it's gotten to everybody that started off with me. I read the same interview that I gave over and over by every rock and roll group and all these, and I understand it. But I don't want to stop. So I just got to pick where I'm going and when I go. But I don't do those one-nighters anymore.
When are we going to get you back in the UK after this gig? I mean, 60,000 people are going to see you, are going to tell 60,000. It's going to be broadcast to 12 million, possibly 15 million, on a good day 20 million, who are going to want to see you. Can we have you back?
You're scaring the shit out of me. There goes my idea of singing to one person.
When are we going to get you back after September? I mean, you said it was going to be the last tour, and you keep saying it's going to be the last tour, but we need you back. You can't stop.
Oh, you're sweet. I don't know. I'm not in charge of that. They come to me, my husband manager says, would you like to? I am Dr. No. No. I say no to everything. No. I am Dr. No. But I'm sure there'll be some sort of not a tour, but there'll be a visit to England in the near future, because I can't resist them. I just can't. First of all, they've been so great to me. And I know that they love it. They love coming to see our show. It's a big party for everybody. So I know I'll be back there, but no one's told me anything except for that proms thing.
You mentioned there, Gary, I was at Mark Worrell's wedding, a mutual friend of ours who works with you in England, and I met Gary, and he's such a lovely man. Isn't it great that love now can be love and we don't have all that nonsense? It must be wonderful for you to sit here and be able to say, my husband, Gary.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I went through many, many, many years where we couldn't do that, and it would have killed my career. It would immediately, as soon as the word got out of my mouth, my career would have been over.
It's so shocking to hear that, because as I sit here as a 39-year-old man, I really can't resonate with that, because it seems so stupid, if nothing else.
Yeah, I know. It was stupid then, but it was true. And everybody knew it, and everybody watched it. We had to watch out for making a mistake. Not that anybody didn't know, by the way. People are very smart. Everybody, I thought, I wasn't hiding anything, but I was also not publicizing it. But because if I publicized it, I'm pretty sure that it would, especially in the 70s and 80s, no way.
Was there a moment when you thought it's okay now? Why did you decide to finally do it? Because we could be sitting here today pretending, couldn't we?
Yeah. I guess there was a time when it suddenly became okay a couple of years ago. And look what's going on with Mayor Pete. It's fantastic that it's gone that far into politics that, he can be honest and he doesn't have to hide, and it's great. It's great for him, and it's great for us who went through the mill of the other side. It's great to watch it.
Do you think there's more of a problem here? And I know you've got to be careful how you answer this. Maybe I shouldn't even be asking it, but I don't think we cared or care as much in the UK as America cares. There is a difference, isn't there?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Look at Elton, for example. Look at Freddie Mercury, for example. There was never hatred. There was just love.
Right. I didn't live there, so I didn't know what the temperature was there. I'd go there, I'd come back. But, when I started, I was on the cover of Teen Beat magazine.
Right.
Well, that was good news and the bad news because I knew I was gay and I knew I had a hit record and I was on the cover of Teen Beat magazine. Now what do I do?
Right.
Now what do you do, Manilow?
And then, of course, we look at the love and reaction after you came out, and everybody was just thrilled for you, including every single one of your fans. There was no negativity that I read anywhere.
Not one note. And, I knew it. I knew that would happen. I just believe in these people. I knew they would be okay with it. All they ever cared about was my happiness, honestly. All they cared about was, that if I was okay. And I think they were thrilled that I had somebody in my life like Gary.
And is that the most important thing? I know your organisation is a family affair from top to bottom, yeah. And they've all got your back and you're all in it together. Is that important? Because I see people in show business write books and say they've lost this millions and that millions and they were shafted by this one and that one. Keep it in the family. It does happen, but you've got less chance, haven't you, of being screwed over?
I was screwed over in the beginning. I lost everything. Before I met Gary, because I was an idiot from Brooklyn who never got any money. I didn't know anything. You've heard the story over and over from all these young people who suddenly become millionaires because they get hit records. They don't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it. I hired somebody who I trusted, and I shouldn't have. And suddenly I found myself with $11,000 in the bank. That was it. And that was after I Write the Songs and Mandy and all that touring. And it was $11,000 in the bank. And thank God I met Gary because he's such a genius. He put me together with him and a couple of great guys. And thank goodness my career kept going and we could make it up. But I blew it too, but I really didn't know anything about money. Here's an interesting story. After Mandy came out, Clive had a party for all of his executives down in San Diego, and I was living in Manhattan, and he wanted me there because it was all about Mandy. His Arista was a brand new record label. So I bounced a check at the grocery store to get on that plane. And I got on the plane and I went to San Diego, and Clive knocked on my door and said, Mandy's been a big hit, and he handed me a check for $1 million. Wow. And that morning I had bounced the check. So I used it as a bookmark for about a week before I said, what am I supposed to do with this?
Dare I ask, what did you do with it?
Well, I found this guy who somebody recommended that I trusted. But this is what happens to all of us. I had no experience with that kind of money.
And here we are today in another world where you don't technically have to do anything, let alone get on a plane and come to London. Is it still thrilling to be asked? Because they could pick anyone. I always say this, in these kind of gigs, anyone is welcome. There's 60,000 people paying 40 quid a ticket. They can afford anyone. They chose you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just fantastic. Honestly, I'm a very grateful guy. This should not be happening. A kind of career that I have should have stopped years ago. Honestly, it should have stopped years ago. I still cannot believe we are doing the kind of business I'm getting, the kind of offers I keep getting. It's just an amazing experience, an amazing life.
I toured for 20 years with a man called Ken Dodd in England, who was our biggest variety star ever. And at 91, he passed away last year, and I asked him 6 months before.
Days, I say, 91, that's not so old, because I'm in my age. But go on, yes.
I asked him if he'd retire, and he said, you only retire from doing things you don't want to do what you do want to do, and I'm doing what I want to do. Is that the same?
Exactly. Really, I don't retire. I don't. It's not even in my vocabulary. Honestly, I would never do that. I had to get off the road, but that's not retiring. I just had to get off the road. It was enough with the room service.
Yes. I hear there's a new album in the pipeline, which is a follow-up to a previous CD. Are we allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, I've got 3 albums in the pipeline. I'm making 3 at a time. The one you're talking about is a follow-up to a wonderful album called Night Songs. It's standards, but standards that nobody's ever heard of. Well, only if you're really hip will you know these old standards. And so I did one, Night Songs, and I got nominated for a Grammy, and it's just me playing the piano and singing. And it's just, you have me in your living room. And I think, a lot of people loved it. So I did Night Songs Volume 2, and it's another 12 songs that no one's ever heard of, but they're fantastic, written by Gershwin and Irving Berlin and all the greats. So maybe somebody will hear it and say, gee, what's that? That's a really great song. Okay. You never know. And then the second one is an album of totally original songs. And I think the people who like what I do have been waiting for an original album for a long time, because Clive had me do these Decades albums, which was fun to do, but, it wouldn't be my first choice. But it was fun to do, and as an arranger, I had a good time. As a producer, I had a good time doing these old songs. I think the fans, they were okay with one of them, but 4 of them, really? But it was okay. That was the Clive thing, and I love him, and I believe him when he says these things will work, and they did. And one of them, the first one ended at number 1, the second one ended up at number 2. I don't know anything about it.
I was going to say, you're selling this as a flop, but all these records were hugely popular.
They were hugely popular. I loved doing them, but I also love writing a lot. So, and I think the people that like what I do are waiting for original songs. They really are. So this second of the 3 albums are totally new original songs, and it's coming out great.
When is this going to be? We need it.
I'm in the middle of putting together right
Hurry up,
now.
Tempest Fugit. Right. Come on, we haven't got time to wait, Barry. We need a new album.
Right.
How easy is it to write a new song as good as the stuff you were writing back in the day that we're singing along with tonight? In 30 years, can I come and see you and I'll be singing along to the new stuff you're writing tomorrow? Maybe.
They're good. Listen, all I can tell you is that they're good. You may think they stink, but I think they're good.
Do you know in your heart when a song's great or amazing?
I know when I like it. I know when I know I've done a good job. I have been very, very bad at predicting what's a hit record. I've never really liked pop music. Really, and I wound up in that world for so many years, but I really never paid much attention to it. I just do what I do. That's it. E.B. White once said that for an artist, if you look up and smell the trend machine, you're lost. And I didn't even know that, but that's what I do. I don't smell the trend machine. I just do what feels good. That's how Could It Be Magic happened. An 8-minute cut. Hey, that's a single. Hey, 8 minutes? Are you fucking crazy?
And when somebody covers a song like that, whether it be Donna Summer or Take That, and you buy your next private jet, I mean, there's the compliment that these people have done it, but then the successes Dolly talks about with I Will Always Love You. I mean, what a thrill to have songs that people cover and make bigger and better, and they always come back to Barry.
It's great. I mean, not many people do that, because just like Whitney or some other artists, we put our imprint on these songs, and it's difficult for somebody else to grab it. But Could It Be Magic has been done, and that's great, because that's a bona fide, wonderful song, and anybody can cover that. But some of the other ones, even though I write the songs, I doubt if anybody would ever want to do that. because, you know, it was so big, you know, that it'd be hard for somebody else to grab that one.
I think we had 2 albums. You said 3.
There's a third one, yeah.
And we'll find out about that soon.
We'll find that one.
Barry, you don't need my affirmation. Nothing I can say to you tonight is necessary, but you are such a classy legend and star. And to be in the presence of someone who walks on a stage and from the second that pin focus hits, has a magic in that arena, and people are just so thrilled to see you, is so rare and so thrilling and so lovely. Thank you so much for your time. You didn't need to do this.
You're great, Alex. Thank you very much for being on my side all these times. Thank you.